Then I got to the television. It was the great Howard Cosell doing the interview on ABC Sports. They said, George, what do you have to say? The first thing I could say was, hello, J.D. Foreman. Hello, J.D. Foreman. I want to say hello to my dad. Look what I did.
George Foreman on fatherhood, next on Black Nouveau. Hi, I'm Milton Dockery.
And I'm Faithe. Welcome to Black Nouveau. Over the weekend, heavyweight champion and grill master George Foreman weighed in on the importance of fatherhood at the 4th Annual Fatherhood Summit. We've got coverage of the summit and an interview with the two-time champ.
We'll also explore the blues art of Barnard and hear from poet Dan Vaughn.
But first, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. African American women are more likely to die from breast cancer than any other women because we don't catch the disease in time. For too many reasons, we fail to get checked for breast cancer. And until last year, I was part of that group. It could be a lack of health care, believing the generational myths about mammograms, or in my case, fear. But far too many women choose to not get mammograms. Recently, at the age of 47, I had my first mammogram at Columbia St. Mary's.
Good morning, Faith.
Good morning.
My name is Nancy, and I'll be taking care of you today.
Hi, Nancy.
Okay? I'd like you to come right over here into one of the dressing rooms.
Okay.
Put this robe on,
Okay.
opens in the front. When you're done, put your clothes in one of the lockers and just have a seat. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Carla Harris is a breast health clinician.
Here at Columbia St. Mary's, we use digital mammography in most of our facilities, and actually a woman is usually in and out in about 15 minutes.
I was ready to answer questions about my personal and family's health history.
Family health history is important. Studies have shown that there is a link to being in a higher risk category for breast cancer. If your immediate family, a mother, sister, or aunt, has had breast cancer, or even a daughter, breast or ovarian cancer. African American people, we don't always know our family history. Sometimes it's a little hush-hush about why grandma died. But you also have to put this in perspective that 70 to 80% of the time, women with breast cancer have no family history.
Do you have any family history of breast or ovarian cancer?
Yes.
Faith, I'd like to explain the exam to you. I'm going to take anywhere from 4 to 6 images.
Okay.
Okay? I won't know that until after the first. They are all routine images. Okay? What I'm going to have you do, let's say my fist is your breast. I'm going to put your breast here. This is called a compression paddle. It's going to come down like this and compress your breast. It's going to feel tight, a little uncomfortable, but as soon as the picture is over, it automatically rises.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Okay. Turn your feet nice and straight.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to come from this side and just relax. Okay, I'm going to come underneath your breast. And this is my compression again.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Okay. It's going to be a little tight, just like that.
It's a little tight.
Stop breathing, Faith. And relax.
There are several myths that keep women from getting mammograms. I believe that mammograms were accompanied by extreme pain to the breast. That is not true. A very small amount of pressure is felt for less than 20 seconds. Carla Harris dispels some of the other myths that keep women like me from getting mammograms.
Another myth is, because I have no symptoms, I have no breast cancer. And the truth is that many times breast cancer really is symptom-free for a little while until it's more advanced. Another myth is that breast cancer is always fatal. And that's not true, Faith. We have many, many survivors. My mom is a 20-year survivor.
I returned to Columbia St. Mary's within a 48-hour period to receive the results from Dr. Cynthia Rice.
I've reviewed your mammogram, which is your baseline exam, and I see no problems. At this point, I would recommend that you have a repeat screening mammogram in 1 year and on a yearly basis from now on. And it's also important that you do a monthly self-breast exam and see a physician or nurse practitioner on a yearly basis for a clinical breast exam.
And joining me are cancer survivors Yolanda Radford and Phyllis Holder from the Sisters Network. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Phyllis, tell us about the Sisters Network. What does it do?
Faithe, the Sisters Network is the only African-American breast cancer survivorship organization in the United States. We're the leading voice for helping to stop the disparities that exist regarding breast cancer in the African-American community. The Sisters Network was started in 1994 by Karen Jackson in Houston, Texas, and there are now 44 chapters across the United States. In Milwaukee, we're happy to have brought a chapter here to continue the good work that this organization does.
That's really great. Yolanda, with what Phyllis just said about the Sisters Network, you're a nurse and an instructor at MATC. Why are Black women reluctant to deal with breast cancer?
From my personal experience and talking to other women, fear is an issue. The anxiety of finding out the result after a mammogram that needs to be repeated. And some women are uninformed and don't know the severity of the possible severity of a mammogram that needs to be done over.
So, Phyllis, the women that would get those kind of results or feedback, the Sister Network provides support to those women?
Oh, we certainly do. We are a group of survivors who've been there, and we know what it's like to go through. And there's nothing like having someone to be able to hold your hand. We even go to doctor's appointments, you know, as a personal effort to make sure that there's someone else who hears the conversation and understands. And then we have a monthly support group meeting for survivors and their families, and we do that once a month, the first Wednesday at the Park Lawn YMCA. We begin at 6.
Some of the women that you may accompany to their testing or their doctor's appointments, Phyllis, what are some of the fears that you have to help the women overcome?
They're numerous and all well-founded. This is a disease that comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And your life changes the moment you hear, you know, this diagnosis, and you know that you, you know, have to stand on faith and keep putting one foot in front of the other, you know, to survive. And so with that, we find that for African American women, that one of the first thoughts is, what about my family? Right. What about my family? What's going to happen to my family? And they may pause a moment and put their needs secondary to make sure they get one more paycheck or whatever it may be that they need to put in place before they go on with gaining their treatment. So it's sort of to say selflessness that interferes or prolongs the time between diagnosis and treatment, or from feeling a lump and going to get it checked out when there's a mind that knows that this is something that I'm supposed to go and share with my healthcare provider. My skin changed. There's something wrong with my breasts. I need to go in. But we know how to put on the strong face, just like Gil Scott says, and keep on moving. And we have to know when to drop that face.
That's right. I'm sure that both of you have had contact with women such as myself who took forever to get a first mammogram. Mine was last year at the age of 47. Do you help women make that step from whatever that fear is to getting that first mammogram and helping them understand the importance of mammograms?
We have partnered with some of the community health centers in the Milwaukee area to enhance their programs, where they have programs like the Wisconsin Well Woman program and the Socket program from Milwaukee Health Services, we've partnered to, so to speak, throw breast parties where women come in and they have the clinical breast exam by volunteer physicians and nurse practitioners who specialize in breast health. And you know, that's a first step. They're comfortable, it's culturally sensitive, and we do find women who need to buy into taking that first mammogram. We even find the ones who need that first mammogram.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies, so very much for joining us today on Black Nouveau.
Thank you. Thank you.
For more information about resources, log on to mptv.org and go to the Black Nouveau webpage.
Art can be many things: creative, engaging, spiritual, and even political. It can preserve and capture history, as Brad Barnard does with the blues. Liddy Collins has that story.
To keep and what you want to take off, then you could take some gel medium and at least do a surface across it. Who is Brad Barnard? I am who I am. I am who I've been called to be. I've been called to be an artist. I think also because my parents nurtured it from my childhood. It was something I got positive reinforcement for. And when I thought I wanted to play sports, my daddy said, boy, you need to go sit down and draw. My mama saved all my artwork, told me when you grow up, you got to put it in the gallery, so you got to keep it nice. So she instilled that in me when I was like 7 years old.
His mom may have instilled it, but it was his sister that really started Brad Barnard down the road to becoming an artist.
Her drawing a picture of Bruce Lee from the Enter the Dragon movie when it was new. And I was so fascinated by that Bruce Lee picture, I had no idea she drew it from a photograph. I thought she drew it out of her head. So I was determined to never look at pictures. And so that's what set me on my way.
He doesn't like to pigeonhole himself into one label or genre. Barnard said he's a holistic artist. He approaches all art in the same kind of way, be it when he's been in a band or play, whether painting or drawing, sculpting or printmaking. His motivation is life and how he observes things.
Whether it's abstract or something that's a direct reference, it's still me responding to life experience. But I had a mentor once ask me, she said, you paint about things wonderfully. I wonder how you paint about yourself. And so that's always been kind of haunting me, because I figured the way I interpret the world is me painting about myself. It does not have to be an autobiographical composition. But then another person asked me once, she said, well, she didn't ask me, she made a comment. She said, oh, your work is beautiful. It's like you've seen the world. Imagine what your work will look like once you've seen the world. And so I thought that was really profound, because my goal is to be an artist who teaches, or I am an artist who teaches, not an art teacher who tries to do art on the side. So I'd rather teach by example and let people know that you can make a living at this, and if you choose to be an educator, then that's your choice. But my art will take me to places I've never been.
Brad Barnard is a Wisconsinite, born in Madison, Wisconsin. He's a graduate of MIAD, the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, which does not believe in the starving artist concept. He's been a community art educator and muralist. He has a graduate degree from the University of Mississippi, Oxford. He taught high school for a while in Mississippi with much success.
I worked that program as much like an undergraduate program as possible. So I established an AP art program, got certified through College Board, and allowed students to get college credit towards art programs in their college careers. So with the support of the administration and the superintendent, was able to really get a lot done. So it prepared me for teaching at the college level, which I'm doing now.
He now teaches at Mount Mary as an assistant professor of art. Publicly, where can people view your art?
I've got a couple outdoor murals. Many of the murals I did throughout Milwaukee were indoors, but two main high visibility ones are the House of Peace on 17th and Walnut, and I completed that in 1995. The double murals on the corner of the building, and then on the CYD building on King Drive between, I believe that's Wright Street and Center.
Barnard's focus now is his body of work entitled Blues Roots, which was inspired by blues musicians he met while living in Mississippi.
people that I met who are nationally or internationally known, or maybe just regionally known in the area. But I didn't start the body of work until I moved away from Mississippi. I lived in Indiana for a year. So in reflecting on my life in Mississippi, I started wanting to kind of pay homage to these different people, because some have already passed away. And so I was not aware of their musical influence until after they had passed. But when I spent time with them and knew them, I really didn't have any concept of who they were. So I basically got educated thoroughly on the blues once I moved to Mississippi. So now I know that I understand the difference between hill country, delta, urban city. There's different little nuances to the sounds based on the region that the music comes from. So having met some of those musicians, I started reflecting on them as individuals. Really the concept of the work is based off of working with maps of locations where musicians are from, and then breaking up that map concept into more of a patchwork quilt, and then incorporating the musician themselves within that. So I guess creating kind of a visual documentary, or a two-dimensional documentary about those individuals.
Who are some of the people that's included in here?
Well, most recently, B.B. King. I've had an opportunity to meet him a couple times, so my attitude is if I've pressed palms with you, shook your hand, looked you in the eye, and had a conversation, I'm going to depict your image in a painting. I recently met Honey Boy Edwards. I have yet to paint him. Jessie Mae Hemphill, I've painted her. R.L. Burnside, Otha Turner. Those are some of the bigger name peoples that I've met thus far who have already passed away, unfortunately. But something I aim to do now, I had an opportunity to meet B.B. King, and so he signed this for me across the guitar neck. And other blues musicians that I've depicted who are still living, my goal right now is to take the original work to them and have them sign the actual work, so that not only is their image immortalized, but also the signature by their hand as well.
Integrity, determination, and confidence prevent Brad Barnard from being a starving artist.
I think a common problem now is that you have people that are into the persona of acting like an artist, but they don't have the discipline to be an artist. So they might have the outer shell of what is supposed to look eccentric and creative, and they might make a few dollars. They might even fool enough people to be well off. But at the end of the day, they got to look in the mirror. So I'm not into soul selling.
What are you trying to communicate with your art, through your art?
I want to enlighten, educate, and entertain. Sometimes art isn't just about a pretty picture. It's okay if it's thought-provoking, but many people want something that matches the couch. So if somebody wants something to match the couch, they're not looking for much beneath the surface of that abstract image, but I like to give people a little bit more to work with. If they invest the time and look at the work more than 5 minutes, they'll be rewarded with some other treasures that are hidden within it.
Sometimes life seems so far away, and the distance between the inner city dead end I grew up on and the suburban cul-de-sac that I now live can only be measured in terminology. Because regardless of the diverse difference in the economic ecosystems, three things will always remain the same regardless of where you live. One, you can always set your goals with the sky as the limit, because heaven will always be the same distance from earth. Two, you can always search for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, because the sun will always shine even when it rains. And three, children still like to play. So on a day when PlayStation 2 was turned off and outdoors was turned on, I'm ear hustling while my son Jonathan and our next door neighbor Rodney are playing with their Spider-Man action figures. And while perched eagle-like on top of the sliding board of the swing set with his arm outstretched toward the sun, Rodney proclaimed, "My Spider-Man goes to the moon." Only for my son Jonathan to rationalize, Rodney, you can't do that. You ain't high enough, plus that's the sun you're pointing to. Only for Rodney to come back with, "Yes, I can. I can do anything in my imagination." I guess that's the same imagination he channeled all of his focus into, because Rodney was probably the only one that imagined that the white couple would turn around and look past the white children and look past his dark skin and look past his dark past and see the love and compassion that he carried on the inside that was just waiting to be loved out of him given by anyone that imagined enough to do so. And here he is, a little black boy with two white parents standing on a sliding board, pointing toward the sun but going to the moon. Imagine that. And imagine what you've imagined. Think of what you thought, or what have you mentally woven into the fabric of reality. Because I don't mean to Kanye West you, but you can achieve anything if imagination made it. And just like Rodney, if we point toward the sun, we can at least make it to the moon. And it doesn't matter if it's today's Spider-Man action figure or yesteryear's G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, a cul-de-sac off a County Line Road, or a dead end around the corner from 10th Avenue and 33rd Street. Three things will always remain the same. Heaven will always be the same distance from earth. You can always search for the pot of gold because the sun will always shine even when it rains. And children, we children will always have the right to imagine. Imagine that.
For 4 years, the Milwaukee Fatherhood Initiative has sponsored an annual summit designed to help fathers stay in the lives of their children. This year's keynote address was delivered by an Olympic gold medalist who has 10 children, half of them named George. Heavyweight champion and entrepreneur, George Foreman.
They didn't like my style because I would close my eyes and somebody get close. And I look up, they'd be on the floor. And I'd dance and tell them how good it was.
Foreman talked about his boxing career and shared his personal life with the hundreds of dads at the summit. He didn't pull any punches when talking about his family.
Started off as a little boy, and I'd walk the street with my buddies. We were a bad group of guys. I'd fight and argue and rob people and everything. But there was a little pride that goes along with it. And occasionally, as we'd be walking, my gangster buddies and I, we see this guy lying in the ditch, drunk, in the mud. And you said, the guy said, man, look at that bum down there. And I said, yeah, sure is. Then I'd get away from my buddies, get closer to home, or get to where I was going. Then I'd go back and rush and get that bum out of the ditch because that was my dad. And I had to rush him and take him home quick. Get him home quick before people realize that's George's dad, huh? So I had to hide that along with it. But there's more to that. Occasionally, my dad would feel good and have a couple of drinks. I'd be watching a baseball game somewhere, and I'd walk around. He'd put his hand on my head, and he'd always say, George Foreman, next heavyweight champion of the world, stronger than Jack Dempsey, able to hit harder than Jack Johnson. I had no idea what the heavyweight champion of the world was, but it certainly didn't make me feel good. He always believed in me, and as years would go by, he'd grab my head as I get bigger and say the same thing.
And we have a society that, as a matter of fact, is kind of underlooked. There's the underlying difference. We don't know how important fathers are. For some reason, the judges take us to court and make us pay a lot of money, child support, depending on how much you make. And then, as a rule, if you don't pay, even send us to jail. That's okay for law, but for fatherhood, we need a society that knows how important it is to keep communications and an association with fathers and children. The society is just not ready for it. But it's up to us, men, to get out there and show them how to do it. And this program that I'm associated with today is not about getting money. It's about getting fathers back in touch with their families.
As the father of 10 children, what is the hardest thing you had to learn about being a father?
Hardest thing I had to learn about being a father is that I didn't know it all, that I was going to learn and grow every day. And you know what? When I took that position that I was going to learn something every day, my kids even taught me a few things. And that was hard, to understand that I didn't know it all.
The summit is designed to help fathers learn how to be better parents. There are workshops and sessions on important topics and ways to work within the legal and social services systems.
The purpose is still the same. We're here to help men with issues dealing with their families. Our goal is to strengthen families, and we do that in a number of ways, whether it's through child support, debt reduction, or driver's license reinstatement.
Okay. Has the focus changed or shifted within the past 4 years?
It's really about strengthening families through fatherhood, and so I would say that it is the same as it was the past 4 years.
What's new this year?
What's new this year is our facility. We're here at St. Marcus Lutheran School located at 2215 North Palmer, and they have an outstanding facility, and the staff has just been great towards us.
Are you seeing the same fathers or different ones?
We're seeing different fathers. There's at least 500 fathers that I spoke to that are here for the first time this year.
Bob Cooper is one of the new fathers who came to give help.
Just get some of those payments down so I can start, better being able to pay more of the child support, because I've been taking care of my son, but she wants me to start paying, to the child support people, and I just want to get everything straight with my ex, so I can, because I'm married now and I got to get everything right.
Don't forget, doesn't matter what condition you're in, you never lose the position of being a father. The fathers are needed. We lost a lot. Matter of fact, the economy, everything, to turn down is a good chance for us, all of us, to reposition ourselves as fathers, knowing that whatever we do, we can do together if we have a father in the family.
What would you suggest to reposition ourselves?
The most important thing to reposition ourselves is for a lot of mothers to forgive us, because a lot of us fathers, we just forgot. We didn't know. We're young, and now we're going to take a lot of forgiveness, and we get that forgiveness in place, hug our children, we can take them the rest of the way.
And we'll continue our conversation with George Foreman on our next program. And before we close tonight, we've got a black Nouveau t-shirt for the 3 viewers who can answer the following question. In what year and in what city did George Foreman win his Olympic gold medal?
If you know the answer to both parts of the question, email it to nouveau@matc.edu or call us at 414-297-7556. Give us the answer, your name, phone number, and address. We'll select 3 winners from the correct responses.
And that wraps up this edition of Black Nouveau.
Remember, in the coming week, do something to expand your world. Good night.
Good night.